Is Enzo Maresca going to get his wish by the end of this transfer window by Chelsea signing a new centre-back? That's what we're going to discuss in today's show, along with some other bits of news before we start the Premier League season. And I'm about to reveal my FPL team for week 1. So that's quite exciting. Please like, subscribe, get involved in the comments about everything we speak about. Check out the Chelsea Echo with Louis Benevente. Also, pleased to announce I'm part of a new initiative, a new community of football creators, and that is Fresco Football, along with Louis Benevente, Hugh Wizzy, Esteemed Company, and many others. So go and check out the first episode. I'll leave a link for that in the description box below, because that's an exciting new project for 25-26 and beyond that I'm involved with. But yeah, we'll be going into my team selector on Saturday for the Palace game, giving you my preview. So make sure you're subscribed and have those notifications turned on so you don't miss any of the content in the brand new season for Chelsea FC. Here is my FPL team. Obviously, I'm proud and privileged to say I'm a media partner for the Paul Canaville Foundation, along with many other great people this year involved in the Fantasy Head-to-Head League. This is week 1, SonOfChelsea FC. This is my team, as you can see on screen if you listen to the podcast. Let's just run it down. Matt Sells in goal, had a really strong season last year. A back four of Munoz from Crystal Palace, Van Dijk, Collins and Cucurella. I think Bruno Fernandes is going to get me a lot of points. He's one of those kind of just gets on base type players. Although Man United can be terrible, he takes the set pieces, he takes the penalties, he takes the free kicks, and he's still a productive player. Karen Matoma, another player, I think Brighton will have a decent season and he puts up decent numbers. Ryan Cherky, I think a great platform against Wolves for Man City to start the season strongly as their new number 10. Cole Palmer, the hub of Chelsea brilliance, and Joao Pedro, who I think will continue his good start at Chelsea, along with Ollie Watkins. On my bench, Sarr, Kirkes, Gibbs White and Muniz. I will be, as I have on my Substack, updating you on the progress of my FPL and my selections each week. And if you want to get involved in the Paul Canaville Foundation Fantasy Premier League the public one, down in the description box below, you can join the link. We want as many people involved on that league as possible. So let's jump into the news. I think the first thing just quickly to talk about is Christopher Nkunku. Florian Plettenberg reporting that Chelsea and Bayern have opened talks over a potential permanent move for Nkunku. Bayern are considering a loan. Ben Jacobs has reported that Chelsea have lowered their asking price for Christopher Nkunku. I think the main thing about this is the dominoes hopefully falling and being put in place for finally the Xavi Simmons deal to come to a conclusion and for him to join Chelsea. It has felt like it's been held up because Chelsea have been trying to get players out. Along with this, in terms of Chelsea to Germany moves, it seems like Kani Chukwuemeka is on the verge of joining Borussia Dortmund. So I think those things will open the door for Xavi Simmons, who I think would be a really good signing this summer. We've spoken about him. I have a special podcast about him that I'm waiting to drop, and I'm just hoping the deal goes through because I think it'd be a really great podcast to drop. So that'll be coming, hopefully. And I think Nkunku going to the Bundesliga feels like a sensible, logical move for his career. He played so well in that league before joining Chelsea. It's a little bit like the Timo Werner thing, maybe returning to the league where you're just more comfortable and suitable. And he'll find a home at Bayern Munich, and hopefully with Chelsea dropping their initial fee for him and can get a permanent exit, that will again open the door for not only Xavi Simmons, but it seems like Alejandro Garnacho before transfer deadline day. But that isn't the only priority, as we know, because Enzo Maresca has kind of made it abundantly clear before the start of this season that he wants Chelsea to sign a new central defender. This is the quote, because there was some confusion over what he said post the Leverkusen friendly, which I think was understandable. And I may have even mentioned it on my show after those games, that was he talking about internal solutions, as in the players he has at his disposal right now? Or was he talking about actually Chelsea going into the market and finding a new central defender after Levi Colwill's ACL injury? That was the big conversation. But when being pressed on it about this game and Levi going, I think he's kind of doubled down now. And apparently, at the time of recording, this hasn't come out, but it's believed that the embargoed section of this press conference is going to maybe cement this even more. So this is what he had to say. The club knows what I think. We need a central defender, in my view, after Colwell's injury, but we are looking internally for a defender. Again, internally, are we talking about the options he has? But I think it's clear to me that at least Maresca, from where he stands, he would like Chelsea to sign a new centre-back. where we go from here. We've talked about this before, but where do we go from here? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Would you like Chelsea, and do you think it's the best course of action after the Colwill ACL for Chelsea to sign a new centre-back? A, who is that centre-back going to be in the current market? Or B, do Chelsea actually need to sign someone because they do have the options that they can develop and find internally that, means that going out and signing someone is not a necessity before transfer deadline day? So let's go with A. We've talked through some of these names before. Mark Guehi, Jared Branthwaite, Murillo, players that have been substantially or at least reliably linked to Chelsea. There have been talks, I know Rob Prattley's talked about this and others as well, that maybe a loan for an older type of defender for this season, a short-term quick fix. Aymeric Laporte, I know, has been mentioned out in Saudi after his time at Man City, his very successful time at Man City. So maybe an older profile of central defender to come into the current options for a shorter term deal, because you do have players either returning, Levi hopefully returning back to his best post this injury. We really hope that. Or, you've got younger defenders like Josh Acheampong that you don't want to block the pathway in the long term for. Obviously, Guehi, it seems like if he's going to be leaving Crystal Palace this summer, it's going to be to Liverpool, or at least they are the ones leading the race for him at the moment. And then you have players like Murillo, as I said. We've delved into this before and kind of some of the numbers. So you have that, but you also do have a risk of rushing to sign someone and that someone not being substantially better than what you could have just used internally. And that's where you get to the second part of this argument, which I think I lean more towards. Because the obvious big option, based because we have limited options in the squad or just because they're clearly failing, we need to improve. I think Chelsea have the options, and I think it is credible for, I've bashed the sporting directors. I think I've rightly criticised the sporting directors, but I think it's fair for them to turn around in this conversation with Maresca and say, you do have options. And why should we go out and sign someone new when you actually have players that you could coach and develop internally? Let's run through some of them. The obvious one, I think instantly, is Josh Acheampong, a young defender who I think has lots of potential that Chelsea clearly wanted to keep last summer. And I think someone who could take this opportunity with both hands and make this season his breakthrough, a bit like Trev did in 21-22 under Thomas Tuchel. And that is a great story because that would save Chelsea tons of money. It would save them the headache and stress of trying to sign someone in a matter of weeks to become a first teamer. And I think it'd be a great sign of, once again, the brilliance of Cobham, the priceless nature of Cobham really to develop these players. And what we've seen already, I think, is very encouraging because he's versatile. It's not just that he can play as a central centre-back and a back three. He can play as a left centre-back. He can play as a right centre-back. He can play as a right back or a left back, maybe at a push. So there's versatility within the squad. But, obstacles are opportunities. And injuries are opportunities for certain players. And as we saw, Trev Chalobah, when he broke through, as other players do, that wasn't necessarily an injury, but it was a door opening up, and he took that opportunity with both hands. So there's that. I think that's the most exciting one. Jarell Hatto was signed as a left back, and rightly so, but we know his versatility as a left centre back who can maybe develop into a centre back as well. He looks very comfortable already in the Chelsea system. So there's that option there. Benoit Badiashile is still at the club. Doesn't look like he's being sold. He, as well, you have to factor in, is suffering with his own injury problems at the moment, but maybe could become a player that kind of has a bit of a renaissance at Chelsea. The first part of his career was really positive. The rest hasn't been as positive, but there have been times where he has shown his quality. And again, could he develop into a more prominent player once the opportunity presents itself? Because Maresca did use him, and I thought he had some good performances before he got injured in the Club World Cup. So there's that to factor in as well. Tosin Adarabioyo is another one who Maresca has leaned on. Don't think will be leaving. Experienced guy. I think grew in stature and confidence and just his ability to be trusted at the end of last season. And of course, Trevor Chalobah, who we know is Mr. Chelsea, really. He loves the club, is committed to the club, and his performances can reach a very high level and can also play in a variety of positions. What you're looking for in this player is not just a left centre-back. You're looking for someone who, of course, physically is good in the league, but also in the central centre-back position when Chelsea are in a back three most of the time when they're in possession, is able to bring the ball out, is able to find incisive passes in between the lines. It's not like the options we have cannot do that or haven't shown evidence that they can do that. Trev, I think, can do that very well. Tosin at times can do that well. I think Josh Acheampong with time can also do that with the evidence we have in front of us. Maybe Jarell Hatto as well. The risk you take is if you sign someone new, you commit to that player for the long term. It's not just we're just bringing you in because of the reaction to Levi's injury, which it kind of is, but you were probably committing to that player as one of your key players for the long term. And the question I would be, because I think the player it would most affect instantly is Josh Achipom, and the question I'd pose is that guy in the long term going to be substantially better than what Josh Achipom could become with endorsement, with time and minutes to become a first teamer this year? That's the risk you take. Just signing someone isn't always as we should know from Chelsea, and especially in defence, where we have spent a lot and we keep on coming back to Trev Chalobah over and over again. That doesn't mean a guarantee of success. That doesn't mean a guarantee that player is going to come in and be and elevate us to a new level. It's a awkward situation. It's not a good situation, but that doesn't mean you have to rush into the market. Chelsea have had, I think, one of their strongest windows in a long time, because I think most of the signings have been logical. They've been based on what the squad lacked last year, what the squad needs, and what could work within how Maresca coaches and tactically what he does as a Chelsea head coach, and hopefully how you can elevate things. That to me is thrown out the window if you panic in the last 3 weeks to just sign someone because everyone says you've got to sign someone. When actually, if we hold our nerve, and there is a January window halfway through the season where maybe you have to revisit this situation, but maybe you don't. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I mean, I know a lot of people be craving us, you got to sign someone, but do you want to sign the wrong person? I don't think, surely it should be about signing the guy that's there, that's the right one to upgrade our defensive options. And that guy may emerge internally, or that guy may emerge over the course of this season elsewhere, that then next summer, not in a panic, but because he's the right guy to bring in, then you find that target. Those are my thoughts. But then again, you do risk, Maresca not being very happy that, the club aren't taking his very public stance of this is who I want to sign. Which makes the last few weeks of the window interesting. But it's quite clear that Chelsea's hierarchy are backing the sporting directors, because Matt Law reported that the leadership team has signed long-term contracts when Stanley Stewart, Joe Shields and Sam Gill committed until 2031. Telegraph Sport can reveal that, like Chelsea's players and coaches, the contracts for them are heavily incentivized based on success and meeting targets and align with the ownership's philosophy of rewarding performance. Whatever you think about the sporting directors, and we've been critical, and I think rightly so, because this has been a positive window in my opinion, but the last two, I mean, have bordered on, just absolute shambles and really, really poor. So again, have to see how that works out, but it shows their power and it shows their credibility and prominence within the current structure, and maybe why Chelsea signing a new centre-back may not be as simple and as obvious as some people think. But we will see that, and it will be revealed in the upcoming weeks whether Maresca gets his wish and who that could be. Let me know in the comments below. Interact, all that good stuff. Join the Paul Carnival Fantasy League in the description box below. We'll be back again for our team selector on Saturday ahead of the start of Chelsea's 25-26 campaign. All the best. Follow across socials at SonOfChelsea, and I'll see you again.